What's up, y'all? It's Shuffle, and in today's video, I'm going to just give a quick overview of the Vestal, aka Junia, and explain how she plays and how her paths work, because she is hopefully the precursor to how paths are going to work going forward. So I've been getting a lot of questions on this about, how I think she plays, if I, think she's a good character and stuff like that. I think she is a good character. I think she's fun. That's the most important thing. Some people think she's broken. I think that still remains to be seen. She does some pretty good stuff though. And as far as she goes as a character, she's listed as back rank, but she can function anywhere with paths and certain abilities, which is good. Range damage, she only has really 2 range skills, and only one of them do damage. So this feels a bit weird as a descriptor. She is a healer. She has a lot of healing output, and then she is a defensive support. So the description does match. As far as her skills, we'll talk about her paths after, and her skills are pretty cool. They let her do different stuff, which I guess skills are supposed to do. But, if you play DD1, you're familiar with some of her skills, or probably most of her skills. She does not have her stun from DD1. That got removed, which is good. I really think that's a good thing. And before we get rolling here too, the other thing to note is that she, I believe, is the only character right now that does not interact with the combo mechanic at all. She does not generate combo. She does not use combo. That has some good and bad implications. For one, she can't set up other teammates. 2, she can't, do something to exploit a combo token and get a massive benefit. So it's interesting. And for her skills, first is Hand of Light. I'm just going to read them to you. This is a melee skill that buffs her. So she gets strength and block. And then someone else, when it's mastered, gets strength next to her. So if you put her in rank 1, the person directly behind her will always get it. If she's in 2, it'll hit the people around her. Illumination is essentially tracking shot. It ignores dodge and stealth. And this is actually really good because the recent patch with Junia made it so moves that ignore defensive tokens also remove at least one of those tokens. So if they have 3 dodge and you hit them with Illuminate, it's going to remove... Actually, it's going to remove all dodge, but for something like Pick to the Face, which ignores block, I guess we'll take a quick aside here. This ignores block, but it doesn't remove it. Well, now it will take off 1 when it hits. So that's a really nice change. It's a small buff to characters like Grave Robber, which I'm very appreciative of. So this is essentially tracking shot. I think it's actually a carbon copy, if I can find it. Okay, tracking shot combos. So that makes it a bit better. But Illumination it's okay. She can hit everything where Dismiss can't hit rank 1. So it's still pretty good. This is surprisingly useful, like for urchins and pigs and stuff like that. Judgment, this is her pretty much main damage move. On most of her paths, this is just raw damage. So her conviction tokens we'll talk about in a little bit, but how she generates them depends on her path. And this is very similar to Unchecked Power, except it doesn't hurt her, like Unchecked Power burns a cultist. So in Wanderer, she gets one at the start of every turn. So if I don't think she has any interactions with 1 token, so you're always waiting for a couple turns. So it's like if you wait 2 turns, she'll get 2 conviction stacks, and then Judgment deals double damage. You wait an extra turn, it deals 3 or 4 burn. And this is a really just good nuke to throw out. This can hit for like 40 plus before burning. It does not take a big investment. And you think it's, you're looking at it and going, well, it's just 4 to 7 damage, but the double damage takes it to 8 to 14, which already hits pretty hard, which crits for 21. And then if you have strength and vuln and stuff like that, you see how it starts ramping up very quickly, right? Divine Grace. This is a pretty bread and butter heal, but it's good. The healing threshold is kind of low, but it's still better than Weird Reconstruction. It has a cooldown, not a use limit, so you can always have this and use it. And the higher her conviction gets, the more it heals, as well as the target's threshold to be healed increases when it's mastered. So it's a good skill. You don't really need it that much, depending on the fight, but it's still good to have. Consecration of Fortitude. So this is a question I've been getting, And people ask if they can see what these tokens do, because this is a new token, right? It's this weird shield with fire around it, or light. So at any time you can hold H. Actually, I guess you have to be in game, but you can hold the H key when you're in game, and it shows up or shows all the tokens, and you can mouse over them and see what they do. So for Fortitude, it's like Controlled Burn with Runaway. It's very similar to that, where I guess this light blue color is going to be what they use for positional tokens. So what it does is it blesses the spot in your party. So if, you know, Vestal's here, and wait for the dialogue. So if like Vestal's here, for instance, and she uses Fortitude, and you put it right here, whoever is in rank 1 is going to get either block or dodge at the start of their turn. So that's what this does. And it's when their turn starts, not the start of the turn, not top of the round. So when not mastered, it's just regular block and dodge. When mastered, it's dodge plus and block plus. It's a good ability. And so you can also do it in such a way that if your speed orders line up and your team can dance, you can throw defensive tokens on multiple people per turn. Like if Runaway's up front and she's faster than Vestal, and you put a Consecration up here, Bonnie's turn starts, she gets buffed, you Dragonfly, and it moves Vestal up here, she'll get it at the start of her turn. So that's actually really good. There's some good implications with that. Let's see. Ministrations. This is a really good move. It does, people probably think like, oh, Battlefield Medicine is better and Indiscriminate Science is better and stuff, and those moves are really good, don't get me wrong. But this has, you know, only a 1-turn cooldown, and when mastered, you know, since this removes Burn, Blight, or Bleed, and Daze and Stun, this is pretty relevant now. And so when you have it mastered and you remove those effects, you get 30% resistant to that effect. So that's actually really good for, you know, just fights, because if you're fighting something like an enemy in the sprawl, they like to burn you constantly, and you remove burn, you give that person 30% burn resist for free when it's mastered. I mean, unmastered, it's fine, but mastered is when this move gets really good. And so your tank is harder to burn subsequently. So it's really good. And also the daze and stun removal is more relevant, because if you didn't see in the patch notes, if you get dazed twice now, so if you get dazed once and it doesn't wear off and you get dazed a second time, you become stunned if you don't resist the second daze. So that means that stuff like ministrations and smelling salts and stuff got much better. Mace Bash is a pretty stock, you know, melee attack. It operates similar to Judgments, except the double damage comes in later instead of at the start. I kind of wish these effects were flipped, because, you know, Judgment can just push out a bunch of damage every 2 turns. Mace Bash has to wait. And the only really relevant tokens to worry about are dodge, but Vestal's also very slow, so she can, you know, have other people clear dodge for her. However, also with the new change where moves that ignore effects remove them also means that she can take a dodge off when she hits someone. So it's still pretty good. Sanctuary. This move is really interesting. This changes based on her path, or at least one of her paths. And it kind of operates like Defender. You get guard, or you guard someone and then she gets block. But then it's also a stress heal for Wanderer and most of our other paths. Chaplain is when it changes to Defender. And it's really interesting. So it's just a guard. And Vestal's pretty tanky. She has 41 HP base and decent resist. So she's a good candidate to guard with. Also, if you put her in rank 3 or 4 and she doesn't get hit as often, depending on like the enemy matches, you can guard more people and she's perfectly safe. Consecration of Light. This is the big one. So this move is much like Fortitude, where it blesses the ground that they're standing on. And this is the offensive version. So at the start of your turn, you get Strength when it's not mastered, and then when it's mastered, it's Strength 75% of the time and crit 25% of the time. That is massive, because that really solidifies her as a support character. Being able to consistently give crits. I mean, 25% isn't like super consistent, but that's still pretty freaking high for someone giving it to someone else. And it's honestly insane. So this move is really good. It's a good candidate to master early for her, and you just drop it on a damage dealer and, you know, they just start pumping out a lot of damage. Divine Comfort. This move was pretty scary when like I first saw it just existing, because it's her last unlock along with Mantra. It was scary because in the first game, this move was insane. It was like one of the best heals, if not the best heal in the entire game. I would say Reclaim is up there too, but you know, this move is now actually surprisingly balanced. So really good job on the balance aspect of it. It's got a 4-turn cooldown, and it hits your entire party with regeneration. So every time they take a turn, when it's not mastered, they heal 2 HP, and then when it's mastered, they heal 3, and it'll last for 3 turns. The reason it's actually really balanced is because all of the healing output is it's good, you know, it's good enough, but road healing is really powerful, and this won't save you if you're taking, you know, 10 bleed a turn, just because you're still gonna die from that if you're at 0. As well as the 4-turn cooldown makes it very, very, very slow. Might be a good candidate with, what is it, Ethereal Dust, to, if that removes the cooldown, to reset it so you can like throw it out a bunch of times. I kind of want to try that now. I haven't yet. So it could be good there. And it's a good move. It's not broken, at least to me. Mantra, this is another one that changes, I believe, based on any of her paths. And so if you have your consecrations down, it heals whoever's standing on it, and then, you know, max conviction, it triggers the effect. This is on Wanderer, but also it hits the entire party. So if you have 2 consecrations down, you'll heal 2 people, and the healing output's pretty good. And also, this has, depending on the path, it has a cooldown or not, but this is her consistent healing. You'd think that it's like Divine Grace, but this is actually her probably her best healing move. This is the one you'll probably hit the most when you get it. So the reason her paths are relevant, or at least important, is because they change how she plays. It's much different than a different hero's path. You see here, it doesn't say, you know, plus damage, minus HP, plus speed, stuff like that. This is it. I'm really hoping every character gets this treatment because it changes how she functions, and it puts all of that information into the tooltips, so you don't have to look back and forth. For instance, when you do Venom Drop, you see here it's like minus damage, you know, bonus Blight when stealth, flashing daggers, and all that. And then when you look at flashing daggers with Venom Drop, it's just flashing daggers. So you have to like look between these and understand what it does. For Vestal, let's see. Illumination, Judgment, Mantra, Sanctuary, Mantra. So we're gonna pick Mantra, just as an example here. And so you see here, when you pick a path with her, the way her conviction works changes, and then the way her skills work change. And it actually shows you in the tooltip now. So for instance, when you are Wanderer, at the start of the turn, she just gets conviction. That's her, you know, unique unchecked power-esque mechanic. When you're Confessor, same thing. Turn start, she gets conviction. However, now when she has conviction stacks, it increases her debuff chance. This is relevant because of the path. If you're Chaplain, you get conviction by getting hit. This reinforces her as being a tank. When she gets conviction stack, she gets stun and move resist. And then finally with Seraph, when she blesses someone with consecration, she gets conviction. So you can have 2 down, get 2 a turn. If your team can dance, you can get 3 a turn. And your consecrations last for 5 turns instead of 3. And they have a 5-turn cooldown. But that's really powerful because that's going to last, you know, a long time for the fights. So if you look here, Mantra changes. So if we have Wanderer, you know, we looked at it, heals 10%, heals more, triggers conviction, stuff like that. Or consecration. And if we swap paths, now it removes negative tokens instead of triggering consecration. Same trigger condition where you need consecration, but it changes what it does later on. And this extends to all the other stuff too. So if we look here, Hand of Light, Illumination, and Judgment. So Judgment, instead of doing double damage and burn, now debuffs. This is relevant because she gets debuff chance with Conviction. And then Illumination, instead of removing dodge, destroys positive tokens. So if they have Riposte or Block or Guard or what have you, I don't know if you can destroy Guard or not, I can't remember. But now you can. You destroy these other effects, crit, strength, all those just, you know, get removed, which is really awesome. Then Hand of Light goes from a move that can hit 1, 2, and 3 to only 1 and 2, but it hits both targets. And instead of giving Vestal block, it weakens them. So this is why I really think this new pass system is honestly genius. It is so freaking cool how these operate, and I really hope the rest of the characters get this treatment, because this is really fun to just, you know, learn and interact with. And so Chaplain, Hand of Light, Mantra, and Sanctuary. So you see here, Illumination went back to normal, Judgment went back to normal, and so Sanctuary looks normal at the start, but instead of stress healing now, it becomes Defender. So you get Block Plus, you give someone 3 guard tokens. It's a little bit weaker than Defender, because I think Defender always gives you Block Plus when upgraded, but you know, this is still good. And then, what was the other one that got changed? I can look here. Mantra, Sanctuary. Okay, Mantra. Mantra can now hit be used everywhere, whereas in these other paths, it can't, right? And so if we go back to Chaplain, you can use Mantra up front, which is not normal, and it changes how it works. So if the target has guard instead of consecration, you can heal them instead, which gets really cool if you put someone like Man-at-Arms or Bounty Hunter on the team who can guard other people. So now you can heal 2 or 3 people a turn with Mantra every other turn. So you're starting to see how this gets pretty nutty. And so the way it works, it's a little bit weird to see as a tooltip. It's kind of hard until you actually use it. But if the target has guard, they get hit by Mantra. If Vestal is guarding someone, she also gets hit by it. So you can tag 3 people with this per turn. And it becomes a stress heal with conviction stacks. And then we already looked at Hand of Light. Wait. Yeah, Hand of Light goes back to almost normal. Instead of giving someone next to her strength, she gives them block. And then finally is Seraph. And I'm not going to talk about how good this path is, because I want people to play with the other stuff first. But so like I said, her consecrations now last 5 rounds. Let's see, what does it affect? Consecrations and Mantra. So these just, the effects are the same, they just last 5 turns instead of 3, and the cooldown's 5 turns. Mantra gets this massive heal now. So instead of being 10% and then up to like 25 or whatever it is, or 20, it starts off at 30. And it removes all your consecration. But it has no cooldown. So that means if you time it correctly with your consecrations, you know, as they're about to run out, you can use Mantra and then re-up your consecrations and then keep going. And you can heal 2 people at a time with this. So it's the ground itself, not the people that have tokens. And yeah, so that's just a very, very cool way to do paths. This one's pretty straightforward. I mean, all of our other stuff remains unchanged. It's just, you know, the healing output gets a bit better. So overall, I think Vestal is a fun character. Oh, we can look at her trinkets too, actually. I'm gonna have to, I'll have to do some editing. I'll be right back. Here are Vestal's 3 trinkets. I've only played with one of them. I haven't seen the other 2 yet, but Icon of Light, if you stick her in rank 4, she heals more, and your consecrations heal stress, as well as melee skills do half damage, but you can't even melee in rank 4, so this really has no downside. Profane Scroll, this is a callback to DD1, where this move was for, or this trinket was for front rank Vestal, and in this, gives her some HP in rank 1, so she can frontline even harder, gives her bonus damage in 2, Hand of Light gives her taunt, and if she's in the back, she gets stress. So this is a really cool one to build around. And then finally, there's Smoldering Firewood, where if you have a flammable item equipped, so some kind of item that inflicts burn, she gets bonus damage, just flat 25%, which can be really good. Illumination now burns, which is helpful to pick off kills. And then if she gets hit, she has a small chance of being burned. So this downside is really not that bad, but yeah. So those are all Vestal's trinkets, her skills, stuff like that. Really fun character. She is on experimental and live retail if you want to play her. She dropped yesterday. So go check out Vestal. You know, you got to use candles at the crossroads to buy her, which I haven't maxed her out yet. I'll do that on stream, but yeah, so get all the normal stuff, get all the buffs, get all the paths and whatnot. So really cool, really fun. Let me know what you're thinking about Vestal, if you enjoyed her or not. She is very angry, which I like. I think it's a cool way to depict her. And I will be streaming a lot of Vestal this week, usually daily. We'll see what happens, but thanks for watching. This was more of an impromptu hero guide. We'll do a better official one when the game launches and stuff like that. But that's what we're doing for now. So yeah, let me know what you're thinking. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.